Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Thursday, the 23rd of June, 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we bring you the 5 news items that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed up 0.3% today to 6,528 points. Real estate, healthcare, consumer staples and tech companies led the way. The energy and materials sectors didn't do so well, though. BHP was off 1.3%, Fortescue was 2% lower, while Woodside was off 2.4%. The banks were up slightly, although ANZ did a pretty good job, rising more than 1%. CSL jumped 2.2%, and Transurban was 2.6% higher. Property giant Goodman finished nearly 5% higher, while Coles Group also did well. Now, it's not in the top 200, but the share price of payroll and human capital management solutions business PayGroup jumped 155% after a $199 million bid by global compliance and payroll platform Deel. That is quite a jump. Story number 2, reliability issues plagued Qantas during May, with 1 in 13 flights cancelled during the month. Domestic on-time performance statistics for May, published by the Bureau of Infrastructure and Transport Research Economics, show Qantas cancelled almost 8% of scheduled flights that month, up from a little over 5% in April, as travellers returned to the air as pandemic rules eased. An airline spokesperson said these results were only marginally worse than Virgin Australia, which cancelled about 5% of flights in May. Chief Executive of Qantas, Alan Joyce, recently said the airline was addressing operational issues to get back to where they were before the pandemic. Now, Qantas isn't the only carrier experiencing troubles. We're hearing similar stories in Europe and the US. Qantas did improve slightly its on-time arrival performance. 62% of flights arrived on time in May, compared to 59% in April. Virgin's on-time arrivals was flat at 66%. Regional Express was best at 76%. Story number 3, trade tensions with China seem no closer to abating after Beijing today defended its trade sanctions on $20 billion worth of Australian exports as beyond reproach. In the strongest sign so far, Beijing has no appetite to back down and remove the sanctions. China's foreign ministry said the restrictions imposed on Australian wine, beef, barley, coal, seafood, cotton and other goods was in line with Chinese law and World Trade Organization rules. The Foreign Ministry called the measures legitimate, lawful and beyond reproach. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese last month said that China should dump its tariffs on Australian exports if it was serious about mending relations with Canberra. Story number 4. Lake Resources, a lithium miner, was included in the S&P ASX 200 this week. But since then, its share price has nearly halved. It should have been a great week given the company was added to the top 200. That's important because it forces index funds to buy shares. But on Monday, ahead of trading, the company announced that Managing Director Stephen Promnitz was leaving the firm and stepping off the board. It appears he then proceeded to dump his entire holding of shares. That's about 10 million shares, according to the Financial Review. Lake Resources has shed more than 50% of its value in just 3 days. And story number 5, the US Federal Reserve could hike interest rates by as much as 1% at its next meeting, according to the Fed's chair, Jerome Powell. The chair said the Fed will make any moves that are appropriate to restore price stability. It's previously acknowledged that rising interest rates could bring on a US recession, but the risks of that are not particularly high at the moment, the Fed thinks. His comments came after a fairly steady day on Wall Street. That's it for the afternoon report for Thursday, the 23rd of June, 2022. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning for the Friday edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.